Hi, this is Majinoni, and I'm going to do something a little bit different for this review. This is going to be what I'm going to call, starting now, my Book of the Week pick. And I'm going to do the review slightly different than what I normally do with the other ones. There's going to be some spoilers, but it won't be as drastic as the other ones. My first title that I picked for the start of this is IDW's G.I. Joe mini or series. This one's a little bit different than the other ones because this is more of a character study storyline. This is written by Max Brooks, who did World War Z, and one half the book is drawn by Howard Chaykin. He does Fire Fly, and Antonio Fuso, who does Tripwire. Now, there's multiple covers. This is cover A. There's, as you can see here, there's B, there's R1, and there's a Barnes & Noble one too. Now, what's really, really cool about this book, or I should say this series, is you're really getting to understand who the characters are. You get to understand their motivations, and the unfortunate thing is as you get to really know these characters, when you go to the regular series, most of that's just going to be thrown out the door. But at least you get a better idea of who they are. And the way it's written extremely well. Half the book is devoted to one character, and the other one is devoted to the other one. Hence, it's the Hearts and Minds series. Now, with Chaykin, I'm sure most of you are already familiar with his artwork, but the Firefly storyline basically revolves around Firefly, and he's trying to destroy things. So he's basically saying, when I go to destroy something, I don't like touching like really huge things. What I like to do is I like to look for a very tiny piece of the puzzle, and I just like to cause that tiny piece to go bad, and then that will cause a chain reaction. And the way he goes about describing how he does this and what he's done gives you a really good understanding of who this character is. And what I think is really, really cool about it is when you look at the very end of the story, he ends it with, my name is Firefly, and I'm Cobra. And, I know it kind of almost sounds like a commercial type thing, but it's really, the way it ends it's kind of like an exclamation mark, and it really says, hey, this is who I am, you've seen what I do, this is who I am, this is who I work for. Then the Tripwire storyline. Now, this one was different, and it was, I don't know, this kind of was like a really emotional story, while Firefly is, I'm going to destroy. Tripwire is, I'm going to try to save lives, because I'm trying to defuse this bomb. And when he's trying to defuse the bomb, they mix in with what's happening in, the real world to what, he's thinking about his girlfriend. And what's interesting is in this case, you don't see him dressed as a G.I. Joe. He's just dressed as an Army Marine. So, in a sense, while he is still G.I. Joe, they're taking it out of the flashy cartooniness of what G.I. Joe is normally, and they put him smack dab in realism. And in a way, you can almost say the same thing about Firefly. While he does have this costume, it's not, it's within a realm of believability that somebody would wear something like this, versus like what Scarlet or Snake Eyes would wear. Now, I don't really want to spoil the ending to his little story, but I will say this: it's really good. The way this storyline ends, it's like I said, it's really, really emotional, and it really defines who Tripwire is. And as long as the future writers of G.I. Joe use this issue here as the model of the character, it's a significant direction. It makes the character 1,000 times more interesting. He's not, I can say this without spoiling it, he's not just a person who just goes to a bomb and defuses it. There's a lot that's going on within his head, and it really defines it. It really does define who he is. what I think is also cool is at the end, like with the Firefly one, he also does the, my name is Tripwire and I'm a G.I. Joe. So they both end, they start similar, they go totally different directions, but they end the same way. So it kind of goes back to the middle again. The next issue is going to be, you have Deep Six and the Interrogator. So I'm really, really curious to see this one. I used to watch G.I. Joe and I read some of the Marvel comics way back when, but I don't know who the Interrogator is, so I'm really curious to see who he is. And Deep Six, I never really knew much about that character, so I'm really curious to see more about that. I said, out of all the books I got this week, when I read this one, I knew immediately this is the title that was really good. It's truly outstanding. And even though I understand that a lot of people won't even touch this because it's the G.I. Joe book, what I can say is forget that it's a G.I. Joe book. This is a character-driven storyline. It's really deep at times, and this issue really showed it, especially with Tripwire. Highly recommend it. If you don't get the minis, if you don't get the single issues, buy the trade when it comes out. I guarantee you're going to be truly rewarded by the series, at least so far. It's really, really good. The first issue I thought was outstanding, and the second issue, even though it's the same formula, it's outstanding. It's totally different. They're totally different characters, and they show that. It's really, really good. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave it on the side. Who would you like to see in the Hearts and Minds book? And personally, I'm waiting for Serpentor, and I want Snake Eyes. And maybe, whatchamacallit, that white ninja dude, I forgot his name, Storm Shadow. But I want to see Serpentor more. Like I said, subscribe to the channel, and I'll have another book of the week for next week, obviously. So until next time.